The first 5 foods to grab before SHTF. Hey, my friends, this is the art of prepping. Hope you guys are doing good. So if you're in a situation that you can see that something very negative is coming in your direction, you see that a threat is pretty much imminent, then you need to do something about that. And if you're not ready for it, then you need to get ready for it. And in particular, if you don't have enough food to weather the event, maybe it's just, for example, a snowstorm or an ice storm, and you could literally be landlocked in your home for 2 to 3 weeks. It's happened to me before. I live a little bit off the main road, and there's been a few times that I've literally could not get on the road because it was way too dangerous because of the ice and snow. There was just no way that I could drive on the road. And for a little over 2 weeks, a few times I had to just stay home. Luckily, I had enough food and everything, and things were fine. But there were people on the street that didn't have enough, and they had some problems. So what are the first 5 foods to grab? And I'm not saying that you can't grab other things than this. I'm just saying the first 5 things that I would go to look for in a store before anything else. And that would be rice. I would probably get an assortment of different types of rice, so you're not just stuck with the same kind. Rice is really easy to make, and it goes with most foods, or you can add it to almost any dish, and it's just a staple in the world. And I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with number 2 here, and that is potatoes. Potatoes are probably the best survival food that there is. You can pretty much just live off of potatoes alone for a long period of time. People have done it, so it's not just theory. But in combination, rice and potatoes can get you through, some bad situations, and can keep you alive for a long period of time. But when it comes to potatoes, I'd also, just like with rice, kind of get a variety of different types. Sweet potatoes and different types of white potatoes. I would get both fresh and dried potato flakes, and just have some options in case the event goes on a lot longer than you anticipated, and maybe you've already gone through all your fresh potatoes, or maybe some of your potatoes are starting to rot because you just couldn't get to them quick enough. At least you'd have some backup dried potato flakes that you can use instead. The third food that I would grab during this whole period of time, right before an SHTF event, would be the legumes of choice that you prefer. So, what are the legumes of choice? And of course, it could be lentils, peas, beans, and what would you pick? And so, you pick your favorite. And this is just what I would do. I would do some dried. I would get some that are frozen and get some that are canned. Right? In case the power goes out, you can have the dried and canned still. The frozen may go bad if you can't eat them quick enough. But typically speaking, the dried and frozen are the best deal, and the canned are the most expensive. That's just at least how it is in my store. So definitely legumes. That's going to give you a lot of energy, and there's typically some level of protein in all this. And so you can't really go wrong. I love sweet peas, and I love pinto beans. So those are the 2 that I would go for first. The 4th pick here that I would grab would be your meat of choice. And I would get probably half of it, in a frozen form, and the other half in a canned form. You're going to pay a premium for that canned meat. But if the power goes out, once again, you'll at least have meat that isn't spoiled. And so, for example, it could be chicken or ham or turkey or beef, whatever is available, and whatever you like. You might want to get an assortment. I try to always have at least 2 or 3 different types of meat that I can mix up or change, so I'm not eating the same stuff every day. And lastly, number 5, the 5th thing I would grab, and this might be a little bit of a shocker, and once again, these are just the first 5. Obviously, I would get a lot of other different types of foods, but number 5, and this is something that definitely helps morale, and that would be your comfort food of choice. Now, maybe you have several things that you really like. And I know one person that he only has really just one comfort food, but he really likes that a lot. So if you have several choices, get several things. If you just have one, just get that. But and I have just a couple of quick examples that you could use these, of course, throughout the week to kind of bolster your morale. You could even use these as snacks. And of course, it just also depends on if they're really healthy for you or not. But to some degree, if you're only using these maybe like a couple times a week, it doesn't really matter. So like in particular, if it's like granola, I mean, you could do a lot worse, right? You know, I mean, you can get granola bars or loose granola. You can get granola with nuts or granola with like dried fruit. There's all kind of just like granola, options out there. Chocolate, you can get like chocolate pieces, chocolate bars. There's all kinds of chocolate. You get milk chocolate, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate really is a lot healthier and overall than milk chocolate. But, once again, if you're only having milk chocolate a few times a week, so be it. Nuts, it's one of those things. Most people have a certain nut that they prefer over others. I have like 3 or 4 nuts that I really like a lot. Just be aware that you probably don't want to eat nuts like a lot during an SHTF event, just in case, you don't have any kind of access to a dentist. You don't want to crack a tooth, when there's no dentist available. But every once in a while, having some nuts isn't going to be the worst thing ever. Another example is fruit preserves. I know a lot of people who love those, and you just pick the one you want, your favorite, and go with that. Also, like your favorite fresh fruits. Now, you may run out after a week or two, depending on what kind of fruit it is. But it is nice to get some of that, to get some of your favorite fruit that you can just snack on or kind of mix in with your meals. Or, of course, just use it as a morale food. So I hope this helped. It's just kind of a concept that I use when I see something on the horizon and I want to top off my supplies. I get these first 5 foods out of the way first. I grab these, and then once I have the amount that I feel comfortable with, then I'll typically go back to the grocery store and get anything else, any other random stuff that I want to get. So you guys be safe. Catch you later.